Hey everyone, welcome to Alchemy with Zero Phase. I'm Eric, and I want to do a quick tutorial on an extension that when you learn to use it, you're going to be like, why was I not using this before? As you know, in most AI image generation, faces are really tough, especially when they get smaller in the image. The AI tends to distort them. You have to go in and inpaint them, that kind of thing. And so there's an extension called Adetailer that kind of is a game changer. So in Stable Diffusion, when you get it installed, in fact, let's just go through this real quick here. In extensions, it should be available when you do the load from and just load it. It'll be listed as just do Adetailer, and it shows up right here. The website is right here. Okay, I'll link it below in the description. When you get it installed, it shows up as a what do you call it, an accordion drop-down menu here. And what this thing can do is absolutely amazing. And just to show you an example here of what this can do. So here I have an image I generated that is kind of a cool layout. I wanted to do something with some fairy princesses or something like that. And it gave me this image that had two rows of 5 different, I don't call them profile images, but this is the initial image. So it's pretty low res, and as you can get in here, you can see it really has no details about what's in there. Okay, and so what we do is we do a latent upscale on that, right? So we send it over to image and do a latent upscale, and what we do during that latent upscale is we enable the Adetailer and tell it to initially. So there's 2 different options. You can enable 2 different first and second. So what it does first, what it does second, and what it does is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, I increase the denoise strength a little bit so that it would have a little more freedom. But as you can see, we get this is just an initial latent upscale. Okay, so it fixed the faces. You can see that they're still kind of low res, but there is actual detail there. Did a phenomenal job with it. And I could take this now and do a ultimate Stable Diffusion upscale with that, and it would add a ton more detail to it. So we're going to walk through the process of utilizing this, best practices, and the configurations and settings you need to watch for in order to get these kinds of results, at least with a latent upscale. And then from there you can do the 4K and 8K upscales. Okay, so first thing we want to get a prompt here. So let's over to my prompt generator, and we're going to tell it to generate us an image that has something that's maybe going to have a lot of faces in it. So let's do a let's get a couple prompts here. 2 prompts. We'll do 30 words each. Digital illustration. Let's do a Old English street, town street with people and shops. We'll do a trending so that it pulls a site that it might be trending on. Okay, we're going to get a prompt from this, and then we're going to take that and actually start working with it. Okay, charming digital illustration transport you to a giant, quaint old English town street bustling with life, couple of roads past Patricia. Okay, town street, deliberate brushstrokes bring coastline. So I like the first one better, so let's just grab that one. Let's see what it produces. I am going to be using the Zovia RPG artist tools. This is an absolutely phenomenal checkpoint model that is geared towards producing really good fantasy artwork. Just amazing. It does a lot of other stuff too, but this one, just really good job. So we're going to bring this down for speed's sake. We're going to do a wide shot. So let's switch this over to 16 by 9. Let's generate a couple of them. And we're not going to enable any of this right now. Okay, you can if you want, but at such low resolutions, it's kind of pointless. The Adetailer, the AI that they've integrated with this, is really good at detecting the people and stuff, but you want to give it some stuff to work with, some pixels to work with. So let's pick our negative prompt, jump in here, let's render this out. And we got no people. That's probably because it really didn't specify. Add some people to the scene, to each scene. There we go. People, let's just grab that first one again. Try it out. Yeah, it's a great scene. There's just no people in it. Yeah, it's adding some people, but they're off in the distance. Make the people the focus of the image. Give GPT a second. It depends on how many people are using it. It can run a little slow sometimes. And you know, at times it'll actually just throw a network error and you just hit regenerate and it'll pull it out. So here we go. Yeah, a lot of people are using it. It's moving pretty quick, and this is the turbo model. We're just going to grab that, run it through here again. There we go. So we got some people that are facing us, so we can kind of see, oh wow, yeah, so they're pretty messed up. And you got some people in the background too. So, okay, not a bad scene, that's fine. Put in a little bit of a watermark here. Let's send this over to, send it over to image. We're just gonna go straight into this. Okay, select our negative prompt again. So here we have the image. We wanna do a latent upscale on this. We're gonna add some detail to it. A lot more intricacies, and we're going to fix the faces and the hands as much as we can here using Adetailer. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come down here. We're going to drop this down to 0.35 on for doing the latent upscale. What we're going to do is we're going to, and let's change this over to cross. We're going to basically max out. At least on my system, I can max out the resolution on this because I want to add as much detail as possible. I understand some of you may not have a video card that can do this, so just work with it as best you can, doing a latent upscale. If you don't want to do the latent upscale, you can do, from right here, you can do the ultimate SD upscale, okay, using the control net tiling option. I do have another video on that, I think that walks you through how to use that. But what we're going to do, going to aspect ratio, we're going to throw this up here, scale to maximum. And what that does, it keeps the aspect ratio, but it scales it up to the maximum resolution that really my system is able to handle. I have a NVIDIA RTX 3080 Ti, 12 gigs of RAM, so it does a pretty good job. So before we go any further, we're going to go into Adetailer. We're going to enable it. This first one, we're going to go ahead and leave it on face, but we're going to come down here to Inpainting. And at denoise strength 0.4, it's not going to do much. It will kind of add some detail. It might correct a few things, but it's not with, you saw how messed up these faces are, right? Okay, so we want to give it some freedom with that. So what we're going to do, actually we're going to, we'll do faces first, and then we'll do hands. Okay, so we're gonna come down here. We want to increase this to at least 0.6, but somewhere in there to give it. You're giving the AI some freedom to really be creative with that, to figure that out. Okay, we're gonna leave it at 512 by 512. Tends to work pretty good, and we're gonna leave all the other settings. Actually, no, we're gonna set the steps. Yeah, no, we're fine with the steps. Okay, on the second, we're going to see if it'll fix the hands. So we're going to come down here and select hand. Okay. Same thing. We're going to come down to Inpainting. We're going to up this to probably about 0.65. Let's see if that helps. Again, this is a setting you'll have to experiment with to try and figure out what works best. And I think that's it. So we're doing a latent upscale. We're basically putting up to 2048 by 1152. We're using Adetailer to fix faces and hopefully hands. Okay, we'll see how many faces it is able to identify, because there's people in the background here. Many of them are facing the camera, but we'll see what the AI thinks is going on. So let's jump into this here and see what it does. So first thing it's going to do, it's going to do the latent upscale. This is going to add a lot more pixels to the image. It might even fix the faces a little bit, which is pretty cool. It's good that it does that. Once it gets done with that, though, it's going to shift over to the Adetailer, and you're going to see here what it does with this. And it's pretty fascinating that it's able to identify using, I don't know, using segmentation, object identification, whatever. And it's going to zero in on at least these three faces. It'll probably do this guy here too, and it might even identify some of the people in the background. Let's see what it does here. Obviously, it does. This will extend your render time. It takes a while to do this. Oh, nice. Yeah, it adds an amazing amount of detail. Fixes the faces perfectly. Does a really good job with it. Once it gets done with that one, it'll move over to the next one. As you can see, again, we're at 4 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever, which isn't bad, you know, considering how many faces it's going to go through. The image I showed you earlier with all the different fairy faces and everything, I think that took probably 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to fully go through and fix. So this is not dealing with too many faces, so we'll see what it does here as it goes through this. It'll be interesting to see what it does with the hands too, because hands are always a difficult thing for any AI to really figure out. Some models, like the RPG Artist tool I'm using, actually do a great job with hands. More often than I would say more often than not, the hands come out really good. So if you haven't gotten this model and haven't tried it out, get it. It's a great one to work with. Another model I like working with, but isn't so good with hands, is the Illuminati Diffusion model. The original one is no longer on Civet AI. I provided it on my Google Share if you're interested in that. They do have another one on there that somebody produced, and it uses the exact same. Yeah, that face is not gonna work. We'll have to figure that out. But the original Illuminati Diffusion they removed it, but somebody created a new one, and they use the exact same weights and training for it, and I've tested them side by side. That it produces the exact same images as the original Illuminati Diffusion. So you can grab the one off my share or just use the one on Civet AI. It works just fine. Yeah, as you can see, I think I gave it a little too much freedom on that. It looks like it's now onto hands. Yeah, so it's kind of fixing that. Although it looks like it put a face in here. So I'm giving it a way too much freedom with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to interrupt this. I'm going to change a few settings. I'll show you what I'm going to do here. See if it'll let me interrupt. There we go. Okay, so we're going to just change a few settings down here on the Adetailer. On the first one, we're going to change this down to something like 0.55, 0.6. Let's see. Let's do 0.55. You don't want to go too low, or else it won't actually fix anything. So, and then the hands, again, let's drop that down to 0.55. We're going to hit render again on that. I'm going to pause the video and wait for it to finish, so I'm not wasting your time. Obviously, you know what it's going to be rendering here, so we'll see how it goes, and be back in just a second. Okay, so it's done going through doing the latent upscale with the Adetailer face correction. So what we do is come in here, and you can see, blow this up even more, that it corrected the faces, added the detail in. But what's interesting, it really depends on the model you're using. The model, the RPG Artist tool, is very female oriented. It's been trained on a lot of fantasy images, and a lot of fantasy images involve women's faces. Obviously this one should have been a man, but you could change the model up, and I'm kind of curious. I wonder if this might actually work in like Inpainting. That would be interesting. So it corrected these faces. You can see it went through and corrected the hands as best it can. It corrected this face over here, again, making it very feminine. It does not look like it did anything else with any of the other people in the background, which is fine because they're all kind of obscure. And you can change the detection levels with Adetailer. There are options where you can come in and say, under detection here, detection model confidence threshold. By increasing or decreasing this, you basically say, okay, I want you to be very sensitive about what you're finding, or not as sensitive. So I'm guessing the higher the number you put on this, the more it's going to detect, and the lower the number, the less sensitive it's going to be. I'm not messed with that. I kind of leave it on the default, so play with it and see what you find. I do want to try one thing while we're working on this here. I want to see if this works in the Inpainting. So we're going to come over here. We're going to put that in the Inpainting. And what we're going to do is just grab this face right here. We're going to come down to Adetailer. It's already enabled. We're going to disable the hand one though, because we're just focusing on the face. And we're going to start off with whole picture first. I just want to see what it does. We're going to leave it. Let's go ahead and bring this up a little bit. Okay. I don't want to change the fact that it's a masculine face, at least on the initial Inpainting. Now let's just see what this does. Okay. We're going to leave the model the same. We're going to leave everything else the same. I just want to see what this does here. So let's run that. So obviously it kind of does the Inpainting. I don't think it's not gonna do much because we're not. Yeah, so it's Adetailer's detecting all the other faces. Oh, look at that, it did. Nice. I mean, I probably didn't even need to do anything, and that one it did too. Wow, that's really cool. And there we go. It's gonna hit some of the back faces too, or back people. It's not gonna do much with them. Okay. This face is still messed up, but it fixed that one and that one. Oh, it fixed all of them, but because I did the mask on that one, it only retained that one. That's very interesting. It's very interesting. As you can see, it did a good job with that. That's cool. So you could actually take that, send it back over to Inpainting, and we'll come over here. We'll wipe the mask out. Let's just remask that one. And yeah, just leave it and let's just run it one more time. That way we're providing a more defined masculine face for the Adetailer to work with. Obviously it's going to go through all of them here again. The hope is that it hits that. Okay, good. Good, it hit it. And it kept the orientation right. Now we can send this over to image to image. We can do the latent upscale. And down here, set scale to maximum. But this time, we are going to, we're going to do the hand. Come back over here to the face, the Inpaint denoise strength here. We're going to lower this down. We still want to modify and add detail, but we don't want so much to change the face completely. So what the 0.4, anything below 0.5 is usually good. 0.3 to 0.4 is good for upscaling, that kind of thing. But 0.45 will change it, but it's not gonna. It shouldn't affect the whether it's masculine or feminine. So it should retain those and keep moving forward. Hands will leave the same, and I'll pause it again during this and come back and see what this looks like. Okay, so I actually had to adjust the settings twice. So it looks like the higher denoise strengths do change things quite a bit. So I had actually dropped it down to 0.31, or just the 0.3 range. That got the result better. If you notice, he still looks a little effeminate, which is fine. Whatever, the whole thing works. This guy, he lost his goatee that he had, but overall the scene looks great. We can work with this. And what I want to do, a couple things here, is you notice there is a watermark down here, or like a, I don't know what you call that, down the bottom. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to fix her face a little bit more. As you can see, the eyes are a little off. Okay, and I also want to make him a little more rugged. I really like the idea of this guy being kind of an older, rugged man. This guy could be the young officer. That's fine. I like that. So we're going to send this over to Inpainting. And we're going to do a couple things here. So one thing that I could have done is that in the Adetailer, it does have an option of using the restore face after Adetailer. So that probably could have fixed this lady's face right here. Okay. Anyway, let's get over to Inpainting. This will be kind of a little bonus to this, showing you how to fix certain things. We're going to open this up a little bit. Okay. Scroll this over. First thing I want to do is get rid of this. Easiest way to get rid of it is, I'll show you here. We're going to mask that out, like so. Then we're just going to pick an area up here. And I'll explain why here. We're also going to change the model to the Inpainting version, okay? And then because this is the Inpainting version doesn't have the VAE baked in, we're going to select the VAE that goes with it, okay? Everything else we're going to leave the same there. So I'm going to scroll down here, and we're going to say only masked. Then we're going to increase this to like 0.75 is fine, okay? Because what we're telling this is, if I were to just mask this, it would create the Inpainting area literally around just this area, and you'd probably still get whatever, words or watermark or whatever it's going to put there. And what happens though is when you select something further away, it has to include all that as part of the in-paint only area. And when you have that large of an area, the AI it doesn't focus as much. And so it's only taking in around what's there and the overall effect of the whole thing. And the end result is it gets rid of it, just kind of creates this in-painted area. And one thing we're going to do, we're going to blur out the edges just a little bit more on the masked area. Always seems to work better that way. And because we're doing in paint only, we got to make sure that we bring this down to something a little more manageable. We're going to do 768 by 768. Okay. That's just basically, that's the area that will be in painted. So it basically will set up this square area around the two masked areas. That's 768 by 768. And it'll knock that out for us. So let's go up here. We'll hit generate. Let's bring that back down. Oh, one thing we need to do though. We gotta come down here to Adetailer and disable it. Okay. We don't need Adetailer at this point, so we're just gonna disable it. So all it's focused on is the Inpainting. So as you can see, up here we can see that there's still sky, and down here it's blending in the road real nice. And voila, watermark gone. And because we blur the edges and we're using an actual Inpainting model, you're not going to get those weird masked out looking areas. You got to use the Inpainting versions of your models, and definitely use this mask blur area. Really helps with that, especially when you're dealing with a high res image like this. It's still 2048 by 1152, and if you have a low blur amount, it's still going to look like this hard edge because of how many pixels. You're dealing with 4 pixels versus like 12 or 16. You can bring this up quite a bit and it'll work fine. Okay, I usually like working around the 12 pixel area. Okay, so now we are going to fix this guy's face. I want him to be a lot more masculine, so we're going to delete that. We're going to come over here. Okay, and up here what we're going to do is we're going to just put in rugged middle-aged man with beard. We're still on in paint only. We're not gonna. Oh, you know what? We got to send this over. Send this over to in paint. Okay, or else we're not gonna have that. So the mask is still there. I know it kind of looks like it disappeared, but the mask is actually still there. And if you're unsure, wipe it out so you see the little watermark here that says start drawing. That means there's no masks. and just mask that out now. Okay, and then with this, I don't want to change it a lot. I still want the overall effect, but I still want it to change it. So we're going to put 0.61 and see what that does. Okay, I'm not going to worry about restore face. This model's really good at faces, and that's how we're going to fix her face too. So let's go ahead and hit generate on that. Oh, whoops. So I totally forgot, when you send the image back over to Inpaint, it readjusts, at least on mine, I've got it set to readjust these. So we're going to put this back to 768 by 768. That's why it was taking a while to get going there. When you get that down there, it should not take long at all. You'll see the man's face pop up and it should just restore it. Oh yeah, much, much better. That looks great. Yeah, definitely a better image. Okay, so let's send that over to Inpaint again. See the mask disappear. We're going to wipe it out, and we're going to come over here to edit her face. We're going to fix her face. She's looking a little cross-eyed there. And for hers, let's just say beautiful woman smiling. I want to see her smiling. Maybe she's looking at the guy. Who knows? We're still not going to use restore face. When you use restore face, it tends to smooth things out a little too much. You lose some of the detail, whether it's skin or. And at this level, maybe you don't need to worry about it. But you know, I don't want to have to. I don't deal with that. This model's really good at faces. Oops. Okay. Again, we're just going to leave it at 0.61 on the denoise strength, and hit generate. Oh, much better. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah, looks good. She's happy. He looks serious. Much better image. She's okay. I think I'm going to redo her face too. So let's send that back over to Inpaint. Wipe that out. We're just going to do one little click right there. And same thing. We're just going to leave it as beautiful woman smiling. Let it pick that up. Again, I always forget this. You got to change the scale of the masked area, or the area that it's going to be in painting. There we go. Much, much better. Perfect. Looks good. Well, there's a lot of other things you could do with an image like this, but overall, the Adetailer does take the bulk of fixing faces, you know, off your shoulders, and speeds things up. Definitely play around with it when you're first generating the image, because it very well could be that it could fix things initially, making things easier later on. Let's do that. Let's grab that image, turn on Adetailer, do faces, Inpainting. Let's go ahead and bring that up to 0.61. We're not going to do the hands this time. We are going to custom the steps a little bit, bring it down. Config scale same, that's fine. And let's rerun that one more time and see what it does with those faces, like from an initial render standpoint. Oh, hold on, something changed. Yeah, we're using the Inpainting model. Okay, let's see if we get that now. Okay, so there's our image right there. Obviously, we've got a second one going on, but you know, for speed's sake, let's go ahead and drop that down. Do it one more time. Okay. So it should generate the image. Then it should, hopefully, if the Adetailer picks it up, go through and do a quick correction on the faces. There's his. That's not bad. Did a good job on his. Does a correction on hers. Does a pretty good correction on his. That's good. I should do hers. Oh, it's going to hit some of those. It looks like there's somebody facing there. So yeah, look, it did a really good job on that. So now we can send this over and do the upscale, the latent upscale over here. Okay, so it's not enabled. We're going to drop this down to 0.35, I think. And then go to aspect ratio. We're going to just scale maximum one more time. Now let's see what this image looks like compared to this one. So we've got a pretty good one here. It looks like the faces are already, for the most part, corrected on this one here, which is awesome that it does that right. You know, if you do it on your initial generation, it just takes time. So when you're just generating images, you know, probably not have it enabled initially, but if you find one, just grab the seed, re-render using Adetailer, then shunt it over to image to image to re-render. So, okay, so I had to make a few minor adjustments. I totally forgot that I needed to bring the Inpainting denoise strength down here for the Adetailer, but and a few other minor adjustments. But yeah, so doing that on the initial image is actually pretty good. As you can see, it redid that one a little effeminate, but it did help with, I think, the initial structure. But again, play around with this. This is a great extension. I've been using it a lot more, especially when dealing with images that have a lot of faces in them, or even a few faces, because the initial image will just be better structured. It won't have this blob of a face. So yeah, keep following us, like and subscribe, and we've got some more videos coming, and great to have you guys, and hope to see you on our Discord. Talk to you later.